Adrian Moretti, one of the city's youngest millionaires, had everything a man could dream of: an empire built from scratch, a sprawling white mansion surrounded by sculpted gardens, and a girlfriend every magazine called the perfect match. But behind the polished pictures and glamorous events, Adrian harbored a fear he could no longer ignore. He didn't know who truly loved him and who loved his wealth. After his parents' death, people came and went from his life with the same cold predictability, each one smiling until they got what they wanted, and now that he was considering marrying his girlfriend, Vanessa, he needed certainty. That fear sparked an idea, reckless, dramatic, maybe even cruel, but the only way to know the truth. Adrian staged a minor car accident, with the help of his doctor friend, making it appear as though he had survived but ended up temporarily paralyzed from the waist down. He returned home in a wheelchair, wearing a neck brace, moving slowly, his voice barely above a whisper. The mansion staff was instructed to keep the truth hidden, except for one person, Elena, the quiet maid with warm brown eyes who had worked for Adrian for 2 years. She had always cared for him with a sincerity that made him feel oddly safe, so he trusted her with the secret and asked her to help him observe Vanessa's reaction. Elena agreed, but with a heavy heart. She believed tests in love were dangerous, but she also knew Adrian deserved real affection. When Vanessa arrived at the mansion after hearing about the accident, she didn't cry, didn't run to him, didn't even kneel beside him. Instead, she stared at the wheelchair, cold disappointment flashing in her eyes before she forced a dramatic gasp and clutched her chest like a soap opera actress. Adrian felt a sting in his heart, hoping she was simply shocked, but that hope faded when she turned to Elena and demanded, "How long do I have to take care of him? I didn't sign up for this." Elena froze, her hands tightening on the wheelchair handles, but Adrian said nothing, allowing the cruel reveal to unfold naturally. Over the following days, Vanessa avoided the mansion, claiming she was too emotionally overwhelmed, while Adrian was left under the care of Elena. She bathed him, fed him, arranged his pillows, and spoke to him softly whenever he felt frustrated or trapped. She never complained, never frowned, never treated him like a burden. In fact, Adrian began noticing little details: how she quietly hummed while pushing his wheelchair, how she checked the temperature of his tea before handing it to him, how she encouraged him to stay hopeful with simple, comforting words. "You're stronger than you think, sir," she would whisper, and somehow those words healed him more than his therapy ever could. One afternoon, Vanessa arrived unexpectedly with 2 friends, wearing a glittering gown like she had come from a party. Instead of sitting with Adrian, she stood across the garden laughing, pointing at him with a mocking grin as if his condition was a joke. "I can't believe he looks like that now," she snickered, and her friends joined in cruel laughter. Elena's face flushed with outrage as she pushed the wheelchair closer, saying sharply, "Stop mocking him," but Vanessa rolled her eyes and snapped, "Relax, Maid, it's not like he can even hear us." Unknown to her, Adrian heard every word, and something in him shattered, not from heartbreak but from finally seeing her true nature. That night, Elena found him staring out the window with tears in his eyes, the moonlight reflecting off the wheels of his chair. "Are you okay, sir?" she asked gently. Adrian looked up, his voice wavering, telling her he had spent years surrounded by people yet had never felt as lonely as he did now. Elena knelt beside him, placing her hand over his, saying, "You are not alone. Not anymore." Something warm stirred in Adrian's chest, something unfamiliar yet deeply comforting. Over the next week, as Adrian watched Vanessa drift further away and Elena draw closer with quiet compassion, he realized the test wasn't revealing just Vanessa's truth, it was revealing his own heart. On the 10th day, Vanessa marched into the mansion demanding to access Adrian's accounts because she needed emotional compensation for staying loyal. That was the last straw. Adrian removed his neck brace and slowly rose from the wheelchair while Vanessa screamed in shock. You can walk," she stuttered. "I thought you were paralyzed." Adrian stepped forward, his voice cold for the first time. "I was paralyzed, Vanessa, but not physically. I was paralyzed by lies, by pretending not to see what you truly are." Vanessa tried to argue, cry, manipulate, but Adrian dismissed her, ordering security to escort her off the property. As the gates closed behind her, a profound peace settled over the mansion for the first time in years. When Adrian turned around, he found Elena standing behind him with tears in her eyes, not because she feared losing her job but because she had witnessed a man's heart break and heal all at once. Adrian approached her slowly. "Elena, you were the only one who cared for me when I had nothing to offer." She shook her head, saying softly, "You had everything that mattered: kindness, humility, a wounded heart trying to love again. For the first time, Adrian smiled with genuine warmth. He took her hand gently and said, "Stay. Not as my maid, but as the person who reminded me what love actually feels like." Elena's breath caught in her throat as she nodded, her cheeks flushed with emotion, and the two walked through the garden together, no wheelchair, no lies, no masks, just the truth binding their souls. And as the sun dipped behind the mansion, Adrian finally understood the lesson he had been searching for his entire life: true love doesn't arrive dressed in perfection. It arrives quietly, through kindness, patience, and someone who stands by you when the world walks away. Their story became a reminder that wealth can build a mansion, but only love can make it a home, and the greatest treasures are found in the hearts that expect nothing in return. If you believe in real love, loyalty, and the power of honesty, then make sure you subscribe to the channel, because more inspiring stories like this one are coming your way, and you won't want to miss a single one.